All right. Hello, everybody, my friends. Remember, I said I'm all in. I'm 100% willing to explore every avenue to make sense. And I want to share and, share my, process of creativity to encourage you to do the same. Okay. We got to reach out right now, expand, test the waters. Don't be afraid. You know, share these ideas that come to us. And so I want to share with you one of the experiences I've had on my journey. And I have had some phenomenal things happen in my life. Really, I have. And I'm very ordinary. I am an ordinary average person like all of you. So I've had some very serious illnesses in my life. I developed a lupus-like autoimmune condition over 25 years ago, which is completely in remission. But then I started to suffer from a really bad gallbladder failure, and there was nothing offered other than snip, snip, taking it out. And that's when I started to learn about meditation. So I started to practice meditation, and it really worked. I am completely better. My gallbladder is 100% working again. There is really something to it. There's a way for us to communicate to our body that we need to explore more. But when I was learning the meditation, I was at an event with many other people, and I had a profound experience that the best I can describe is that it seems to me we are able to have a dream while we're awake. Okay? So just like how we fall asleep and okay, well, I was sitting upright. I was still aware of the place I was. I went very deep into this super relaxed place, and then I began to see a dream, but I was experiencing the dream, and my perspective or the observer that I was moving. So the way the dream begins is I am a little tiny person in front of an absolute immense set of doors, and they're wooden. Now, what I want to share with you is the reason I think this is relevant is, and I've shared, this is another YouTube channel. It's called Mystery History Mud Flood Cool Photos. Okay. And I hope you can see it. Okay. Now see how small the people are in this picture and how huge the doors are. Okay. This picture is the same scale of what I experience in my meditation. The same scale as that. So here I am. I'm on the outside of these immense doors, and they're big planks, and I can see the grain in the wood, and they're weathered, and I've traveled this great distance, and I want to get on the other side of those doors. I've had it. And so then I muster my strength and I knock on the door from my perspective with all my might. But then it zooms out and I see this other perspective, and it's like ping, 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 ping. Can't hear. My knock couldn't even rattle the door. So then I get this big club and I come and I bang on the door with all my might. I want whoever's on the other side to hear me and come open the door. Little toothpick. So then I'm like, and I hang and I'm like, I put my head down. And then when I do that, I see that this door is so weathered that the corners of the planks where the doors join, these huge doors, there is a little tunnel. And I realize I can go under the door. And so that's what happens in this meditation. And so I'm like blipping from watching the scene to being in the scene, experiencing it in a pulsing like sensation. And I'm crawling on my belly, getting through, and I pop up on the other side. And it was, wow, like smooth cobblestone floor. I was inside. It was like a study. And it was giant. It was the world of a giant, not a giant, a titan. I'm really big. But in proportion to that giant, the ceiling actually would have been not that high, oddly. I can see there was these very square stained glass windows. I can see the furniture, the wood, it's dark. And there is a giant man, a titan, sitting in a study chair. He doesn't see me at first. I can see his clothing. It's like old world. He's got thick, coarse, wavy brown hair to about his shoulders. His face is like deep lines, like his features are really pronounced, big bushy eyebrows. And he is sitting and he's like in this deep perplexed, like he's just perplexed. He's like he's thinking on some kind of problem and he's stumped, okay? So I notice that. Then I notice I'm looking around, and the next thing I notice, he doesn't have a candle. He doesn't have a lamp. There's no source, no physical source of light I can identify. And outside, it's also dusky. There's like no bright sun. And it was quite dim. Like you could see, but if you had a book with fine writing, it wouldn't be bright enough to read. The second I noticed that about the light, the giant looked at me. He just looked at me. And the character that I am in that, because like I'm observing it and then blipping and being the character, takes a deep breath, sees the giant and sees me, and then I clench my fists, I squeeze my eyes closed, and I said, I'm not going back. I'm not going back. You can squish me like a bug. I'm not going back. And I just braced myself with my eyes closed, not knowing if he was going to kill me. And no matter what, I was not going to give up. And the next thing I experience is I'm wobbling, and I open my eyes, and the giant had reached with his left hand and had picked me up. You know, maybe he picked me up and put me on his left hand. I don't know. The eyes were closed. And so then I remember the scene. I can see his hand. I can see the lines in his hand. So that's the scale, very much like the picture. Okay? It was, and so if I was any smaller, and we wouldn't have been able to communicate. So it was almost like the maximum scale that we could still communicate. And then I got a glimpse of my clothes. And my clothing was also kind of like medieval Robin Hood time. You know, I had this long traveling coat. I had some kind of bag with a big strap. I seen my leggings. I had these type of boots on that had straps crisscrossing up my leg, like I had dressed to go on a journey. And then I look at the giant, and the giant is like looking at me with complete surprise, like perplexed, like, what are you? Like, he's just looking at me on his hand, like, what? And I look at the giant, the character, because actually then I discerned that the character in this meditation seemed to be a male, okay? And then remember what would happen is for a split second, the awareness, I actually got to see through the giant's eyes when the giant seen me. And then I would get to see the scene where the giant and me, and they were interacting, and then I would be the character. So it's very interesting to have that. So then the character musters up their might, and the giant is looking like, eh. And the character says, I'm here to help. And the giant kind of like, you know, like, oh, right, you're going to help me, you know, it was like that. And then the character reaches open. I open my coat and I'm opening up, and there's this little pouch that I'm carrying that's right over my heart. And now I'm watching this in this meditation as I'm as curious as as if, it's a movie I'm watching. And I reach in, and then I have something in my hand. And I open up and I go like this, and I open my hand. And holy wow. There was this most beautiful light. Like, it was like a ball of light. But it was like pearlescent, and it had like little arms of wisps of light coming off, and there was this beautiful pearl sheen, and it was so intensely beautiful. There's never an image I've ever been able to see, even in a fantasy, that would depict this beautiful light that was now this ball in my hand. And I showed it to the giant, the Titan, and the Titan went, oh. Because remember, his world had a dimness. And then the character said, holding this ball of light out, it smiles, and the character says, and I know where there's more we can get. And that was it. That was the end of it. Okay. Wow. And I could draw it as a book, the detail of what I saw in this meditation. So now what I wonder is, now that I've seen these ancient structures and everything, is it a memory? Is there a living energy that we actually can connect to, that we can receive information from? At this point in time, I'm a 100% open to it, okay? But I wanted to share that with you because there could be a lot about the very nature of our being that also has been hidden from us and has been vilified. We've been told it's bad or wrong or dangerous or evil, spooky, okay? But is it natural and organic? Just like, could it be that the universe is built on a pattern, again, that matches even the structure of our human body, and like there's trillions of cells in our human body, and even though each cell is its own cell, it's part, then it's part of an area, part of an organ, or part of the nervous system, and then this nested function, and then it's part of a body. Well, what if a human, that same pattern, and that somehow there's this much larger organism that we're actually part of, and that we can receive the intelligent information through the ether, through the quantum field, that's like a nervous system. And we haven't been properly educated to understand this. And this could be what people call psychics, and all these phenomena that have been splintered off, and all these different explanations. But going back to the Fibonacci and this pattern that governs everything that is to our scale and smaller, but perhaps we also are part of this much larger living system that has an electrical, because how do it's electrical. We're, electromagnetic. Our heart is an electromagnetic organ, and that we can tune into it. And I think at this point in time, based with the evidence, this this physical evidence that our timeline has been changed, all these, artifacts around the world, and right when this information has started coming into the public in the last 2 years, and then we have this huge shutdown of the entire world, it's lining up to something big, something really, really big. And so I say, let's tap into everything, every possible thing, to see if we can make sense of another timeline, and what would that mean for us, and then what would it mean, what potentially will we be able to do with this information? How empowering potentially can it actually be? If this is true about this cyclical pattern of a cataclysm, and the second coming of Christ is actually that each time the cataclysm comes is our opportunity to take charge of the true narrative and be empowered and find out what's been happening to us and to change it. And that this time when the cataclysm comes, the evil people, the wicked, evil, heartless people who are delusional and cult cannibals, are permanently dethroned, permanently. And we build a civilization that then is able to deal with this cyclical pattern and have it stop knocking us back, and heal our planet and heal ourselves. And this could be actually what the Bible is prophesying. Yeah. So, anyone else have some cool meditations you'd like to share? That was my first big one I ever had. Thanks.